vehicle or vessel for divine grace.
And that's the paradox, isn't it? Because you have to give up the self, and yet you have to focus on your own being in order to release that.
Yeah, which is then you find the reality within you, is that you thought this imitated body was the self. So then internal reflection is who knows himself will know his Lord. As soon as you start to reflect, you say, oh, this is not my real being. This is first the imitated like imposter who has all these hidden desires, and I'm actually having to move inside. So many times in the spiritual communities, they would have a bird cage with a beautiful little bird, and the sheikh would keep it there, and it would be a symbol that your body is the prison. It's holding the reality of that bird captive. And if you abstain and discipline your body, these bars will become smaller and smaller. If that bird can fly, it knows how to go towards its source. It will get its nourishment, its power, and then come back and energize the body. It means the more power we give to the soul, the more energy and discipline it puts onto the body. It means then perfected beings, they become of service, they become light beings.
Can you describe the actual experience, what your personal experience is of worshiping the divine?
Yeah, we're trained not to speak in the I and to talk about our accomplishments, but what we said before in the training is that you can't give what you don't have. So you have to be through a process of rigorous trainings, disciplines, all sorts of abstinence with the sheikh and the master. The first concept is that you have to have a mentor, someone more spiritually powerful than myself, someone who has walked that program, existed in that reality, came back to teach me and mentor me on that process. Without that, I'm making it up as I go, which can be very dangerous on spiritual realities, because if I'm leaning and lending myself to my faults, at any time I fall sort of victim to my own desires. The mentor, more spiritual than myself, begins to discipline me, that no, it's time for you now to start fasting. You start to fast with your eyes, you fast with your ears. The concept of fasting is not just with the mouth, but fast with your ears. Don't listen to bad, don't listen to backbiting. Don't lend yourself to hearing about bad things, because immediately you speak about them. Try to abstain with your eyes and fast. So we practice in our fasting with our ears, with our eyes. Then you fast in your breath and try to keep consciousness of the breath. Then fast in your tongue. Abstain from eating. And fasting from the mouth, from food and drink, is not only to give you hunger, but to be conscious about people around you. There are people here that don't eat and drink regularly. And there are people who are not having a complete meal. And there are people who don't appreciate all of our bounty. And there's places all over the world that you see horrible children, pictures of children that are dying and birds trying to eat them. They can't get access to food. Well, you won't be conscious of that because of the land of bounty unless we abstain. So we had to go through these disciplines and then sit for hours in meditative practices and prayer practices and constantly disciplining. The constant of praying so many times a day throughout the day is to tame the horse. It's not at first such an exciting process that people think, oh, they're enjoying doing it. No, but it's a strenuous sort of discipline upon the self. There are many things you would like to do. At that time the Master's teaching, you break from what you're doing, however pleasurable it is, and not to discipline yourself. And then accompanying that Master to see how they react in conditions. How do they talk? How do they sort of talk the talk and walk the walk? That when attacked, how do they react? They give back love. Many times we claim to be sweet, and the Master teaches you will be tested, because the divine is real. So if you're claiming to be a teacher or a master and claiming to be sweet, how come when you get squeezed, you're very sour, very harsh? You have to be like nature, be squeezed and still give out fruit. People who don't like you, pray for them more. It's easy to love people who love you, but more rewarding to love those who are not appreciating or loving you. So then you have to walk the walk, and you have to accompany these masters, you have to accompany the teacher and go through that whole process.
That was going to be my next question, is what would be the steps that you would prescribe to getting closer to that part of ourselves that is able to worship the divine? And would you say that pretty much covered it, everything you've said? The steps that
yeah, you take a step now, whatever program people find themselves inclined to. That's why you can't say, and we don't say there's only one way for everyone, neither my way or the highway. That has to be from the ego. That our spiritual life is like Baskin Robbins. There's got to be 31 flavors, because everybody has their own flavor, their culture, their background, their understandings, the different disciplines that they want to put, and what comes natural to them. Choose a path, and in that path, it's like choosing a college. Why do you choose a college? You say, look at the college, look at the history of the college. How many years have they been around? Who's the dean of that college? Who are the professors of the college? What have they sort of accomplished? Same in a spiritual school. that the professors are these big sort of mentors. How many spiritual realities are they able to bring out for their students? What have they accomplished? What are the quality of the students and the lineage of those students that they put out? Then that's the sort of spiritual path that we'd be interested in. And that they have living professors, living teachers, mentors that can take us towards that reality.
Well, there seems to be one consistency among all religions and spiritual exercises is basically shutting off the internal dialogue. That seems to be a consistency, whether it's through prayer, meditation. Would you agree with that? That is essential to opening up that part of us that's more able to...
Yes, through the meditation is to discipline the voice, the active mind, and moving towards the reality of the heart. So then everything, the Divine says, I'll show you within you and outside of you this reality. So we invented the computer as an understanding of ourselves. So most of our computing is done through the CPU, which is the heart. So then why are we trying to compute through the screen? Why are we putting all the thought process on the head? It doesn't have the capacity, it gives you the migraines and the headaches. The infinite capacity is the heart. So then you shut off the mind, it's not going to understand that reality. It only goes on what it hears and sees, and all of that is an illusion, because this brain is in a box that has never seen light. So how is it able to describe anything? It doesn't. It takes senses based on conditioning and tells you what it wants. So we know it's an illusion. So they were telling us thousands of years ago that this world is but an illusion. Now scientists say, yeah, it is. As a matter of fact, all these atoms are moving at such a high rate of speed, it gives the illusion of something solid when it's not. So then you start to make your chanting that the brain doesn't understand this reality. So you start to meditate and contemplate and move towards the reality of the heart. And then they have all of their spiritual disciplines on how to do that and how to shut the brain off and meditate towards the heart.
I know you mentioned that you don't like to speak about personal accomplishments, but if it's not too personal, and of course if you don't want to, obviously not. But can you describe maybe your maybe the first moment or your most powerful moment when you've experienced that connection? I know it's